above.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting. Ann, can we have roll call, please?
Chairperson Bourgeois.
Present.
Member Coca.
Present.
Member Domeno.
Present.
Okay. One consideration for tonight, consideration of the Finance Committee authorizing the authority to issue a Series 2022 bonds and to recommend that the authority proceed with the issuance of the Series 2022 bonds through a private placement. Special Counsel Attorney Cahill will give an overview of the proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you may know, the authority is considering the sale of the hydroelectric facility to its current operator, and that gives the authority the opportunity to refund the rest of its outstanding bonds, which has to be done if you're going to sell the hydro facility, because all of the bonds are secured by a mortgage on the hydro facility. So the only way to sell it is to pay off all the outstanding bonds. So the finance plan is to use the proceeds from the sale plus the proceeds of a new issuance of bonds by GIPA to pay off all the outstanding bonds. The new issues in the amount of approximately $2 million. They'll be sold with the assistance of a replacement agent, Robert W. Baird Incorporated, who will help the authority look for a bank, most likely a local bank, but not necessarily, to buy the refunding bonds. We don't have an interest rate yet. That will be done by a negotiated transaction with a local bank, but there will be an RFP that will go out in an effort to drive the rate as low as possible. These bonds do require the approval of the Office of the New York State Comptroller, and at the Comptroller's office suggestion, recommendation, the authority is seeking a rating review by Moody's, who is currently rating your outstanding bonds. So under the Public Authorities Law, the Finance Committee has to make a recommendation to the full board as to whether the full board should move forward with the approval of issuance of the refunding bonds through a private placement. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody on the board have any questions? The committee? No? Okay. And I'd like to ask for a motion to recommend that the authority proceed with the issuance of the bonds.
Make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's carried. Is there any other business? I don't have any other business. I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the committee.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's carried.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Green Island Power Authority. And could we have roll call?
Chairperson McNulty Ryan.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Perfetti.
Present.
Trustee Domeno.
Present.
Trustee Bourgeois.
Present.
Trustee Coca.
Present.
Attorney Legnard.
Present.
Kristen Switten, CEO.
Present.
Madeline Paternani, CFO.
Present.
All present. Maggie, could you just look and see if there's anyone signed up for public forum?
There is not.
Okay. No public forum. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Could I ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting on July 18th, 2022?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. We have no communications. Next is the audit of claims. Everyone has a copy. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure Madeline would be happy to answer them. No questions? Could I have a motion that we pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is submittal of the monthly report of the treasurer. Everyone has a copy. Does anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And it's carried. Next is consideration of the monthly adjustments to the August 2022 billing. Kristen, they're just routine?
Yes.
Have any questions? If not, could I have a motion to make the adjustments?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of awarding a bid for the 2022 pole replacement project. We received one bid from H. Richardson and Sons in the amount of $36,000. Madeline, that's what you thought it was gonna be around?
Yeah, it's a little under budget. You know, we always give a little buffer just in case, but that's typical. I think the last one might have come in, the last 3 that we did, around 39,000, so the cost is down a little bit.
Good.
We'll
And that
take
does
it.
like 4 polls?
3. Yep, we try to do 3 every
Yep.
year, so Tony just does it by, need, you know, he's got a whole list, so.
Anyone have any questions? If not, could I have a motion that we award the bid to H. Richardson and Sons?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of bond resolution. We have special counsel attorney Connie Cahill here to provide an explanation to the board. Connie, you're on.
Okay, thank you. The authority has 3 outstanding series of bonds that were issued in 2000, 2004, and 2008. And in connection with the sale of the hydro facility, which is the next resolution up, the recommendation from the Finance Committee is that the authority should refund its share of the outstanding bonds. Part of the proceeds from the hydroelectric facility sale will go towards the outstanding bonds. The authority will then issue its bonds and use that to pay off all the outstanding bonds. The authority is working with Robert W. Baird as a placement agent who's been running the numbers to see what portion of the bonds must be paid for by the purchaser of the hydro facility versus the GIPA. The portion to be purchased by GIPA is approximately $2 million. That amount will go up and down a little bit depending on the date of the closing. We're shooting for a closing as soon as possible in the fall, hopefully somewhere between September 15th and October 15th. So what this resolution does is it authorizes the issuance of a request for proposals to go out to local banks and other purchasers who may be interested in purchasing the bonds. It authorizes the issuance of the bonds on the terms set forth in an indenture, which is very similar to the indenture you currently have, but we've updated it for some more modern terms. You also are authorizing the sale of the bonds and delegating to the chair to determine some of the final terms that will be included in the indenture. The proceeds of the bonds are strictly to refund the outstanding bonds, give a share of them, and pay costs of issuance. And then you're going to secure those bonds by pledging revenues under the indenture and also giving a mortgage on the distribution facility that GIPA will own even after the sale of the hydro facility. So it's a fairly, what we would call a vanilla transaction in that you're talking about fixed rate obligations as the expectation, and the final details of exactly what that interest rate will be or what the redemption provisions will be determined after negotiations with whatever bank is submitting the proposal most advantageous to GIPA. So I know it's been a long time since the authority has issued bonds, so I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Anyone have any questions?
No,
No?
I don't.
Okay. So could I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Next is consideration of a resolution approving the sale of the hydro project. Again, we'll let Connie explain that.
Sure. So, you know, both the New York State law, the Public Authorities Law, and the and GIPA have requirements on how you dispose of property, and you've already complied with those requirements. You've gone out and you sent out a request for proposals to people and entities that you thought would be interested in purchasing the hydroelectric facility. And the second prong of it, you went out and you had an appraisal done of the facility. So you received 2 proposals to purchase the facility. You've reviewed them in great detail with lots of negotiation. Finances, you know, the purchase price is a factor, but there are other factors important to GIPA, and that is knowledge of the hydro facility. You still want to make sure that hydro facility, since it's part of the village, is run properly. There are also contamination issues with property surrounding it, so one of the purchasers was very familiar with it, or one of the responders rather. And also, one of the responders was a co-licensee for FERC. So one of the things you want to do when you sell the facility is make sure you get off the license. So for that reason, my understanding is you're ready to approve the sale, for all of those reasons, approve the sale to Albany Engineering as the bid that was most advantageous to GIPA. So this resolution walks through that you follow the procedures of both the law, the New York State law, as well as your own disposition policy, that you sent out the RFP, that you got the appraisal, that the price offered by AEC was in excess of the appraised value. So for that reason, you've now complied with the Public Authorities Law. There are provisions in that law that require notice to the authority's budget office. You don't have to do anything like that because you've complied with all of their requirements. So this resolution determines that the AEC proposal was the most advantageous, price and other factors considered. That's right from your disposition policy. And authorizes the sale of the facility pursuant to an asset purchase agreement. And you delegate to the chair again the power to determine final details. So the asset purchase agreement requires a payment of cash to be used to pay off some of your outstanding bonds, a forgiveness of certain monies that would otherwise be due to AEC if you were to sell to another party, an indemnification of AEC if something should happen, and GIPA is sued in the process, and a requirement that AEC at its cost go and have you removed as a co-licensee under the FERC license. So, and it authorizes Kristen and Madeline and anyone else and Joe to do what's necessary to complete this sale. So the idea would be that the sale, the issuance of the bonds would all happen on the same day to make, so that all the money can go into escrow at the same time.
Anyone have any questions?
So how do we determine that AEC was the best out of the two proposals that we got?
Well, one of the biggest things was we had a contract with AEC that to run the place, and I can let Kristen and Madeline explain this too, but there were certain things where they put a lot of money into this, and if we were to sell it to someone else, we have to pay them 150% of what they invested in it. So that was a huge factor.
That was, I remember reading that in that proposal. So
The other thing is we're co-licensees, so it will be much easier to transfer the license to just Jim than it will be to transfer. He'd have to agree and transfer his, co-licensee to someone else too, and that could be very difficult. I don't know if there's any other major things.
No, it was when you add the purchase price for that they were going to pay off the bonds, plus that 150%, plus there were a few other terms that they offered. It made that more advantageous to GIPA.
So it's a situation where even if somebody offered us more money, it was going to cost us more to do it that way.
Because
So
we were in a current lease, so to break that lease, it's a 50-year lease that we had signed with them. To break that lease, terminate that lease would cost us a substantial
It's very
amount of money.
expensive.
Yep.
and a lot of lawyers. No offense.
None taken.
Right.
They've been there all this time also. Isn't that advantageous, just having Albany Engineering there for the past years?
Yeah.
I mean, they know everything about it already.
They've been with us since we got the plant originally,
Yeah.
so 20-some years ago.
Yeah.
So, and we want to keep it going.
Yeah.
So, any other questions? If not, could I have a motion to approve the resolution approving the sale of the hydro plant?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? And it's carried. Everyone has the copy of the GIPA and DPW work that everybody's been doing, and I saw them cutting down trees down at Fort George today, so they've been pretty busy. So could I have a motion to accept the recap report?
I'll make a motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. Our next meeting is Monday, September 12th. Could I have a motion to, if you notice, it's a different week than usual because Maggie and I are both going to be out of town at the same time, so it's kind of hard to do meetings. So it's going to be a week early, so it will be Monday, September 12th at 6 o'clock. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? And it's carried. Thank you, and thank you very much, Connie, for
Thank
your
you.
expertise and
Thank you.
explanations.
Talk to you tomorrow.